Hello, welcome back to another episode of Strange Orphan. I'm your host, Laura Steinell. So glad you're here. This week, I was thinking it would be great to dive into one of the questions you guys have emailed in to info@strangeorphan.com if you ever want to send one of your queries in. We had so many cute questions. Not cute, that's an awful way to put it. Very compelling questions have been asked. And I thought it would be helpful to do a little work in progress segment here where we kind of work through someone's new orphanism issues with orphanism. They're bound to happen. So yeah, and I think I'll just read it. Yeah. Okay. Dear Orphan, since cutting ties with my family last November, it has been an ongoing series of blows that have left me feeling like I have very little stability. My goal was to move out of my current living situation, a shared 2-bedroom with a girl who constantly has her partner over, who has no respect for our shared space, and who is often spending hours in our bathroom. However, recently I have also lost my job and have had trouble finding a new one. It all makes me feel like I am trapped with everyone around me as a threat, and everyone around me is a threat to my sanity. I would greatly appreciate your thoughts on navigating this period of time. Sincerely, I'm done. Well, first of all, wait, why is it the partner who's spending hours in the bathtub? Why is this partner in the bathroom so much? Do they not have their own? Why are they bathing at your place so much? I hope you're splitting the water bill. Who is this person? First of all, I just want to say I'm sorry, because I know that it's devastating enough to have to cut ties, and it's like uber terrifying to then lose your job security, especially in the landscape that we're currently in. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that. And I know that terrain very well, and it's very unsettling. And while it can feel like you're being punished at the moment, you're not. Well, I'm going to say you're in what I like to call a stuck season, where you're not getting out of this the easy way. There's no escape. You're in the pen with life, and it's harsh. I've been in many of these stuck seasons. They come when the universe is blessing us with some pummelings, when all rugs are getting ripped away and we're getting pummeled by Sky Daddy. I'll say this, stuck seasons are not like, they're not like to get you down. Like they're not coming at you to punish you. A stuck season is a time of refinement, a time of personal refinement. Because here's what I'm willing to guess happened. You cut ties from your family. You said, I want better. I want this wholehearted, I want this juicy love that exists out there from a family. And you cut ties from people who couldn't love you fully. And then the universe is like, cool. Now we're gonna just like smack you with all your fears and nightmares and show you all the ways that you don't actually love yourself fully. Twist it on you. The good news is it's a really spiritual time. It's a little spiritual incubation. It means you're growing. It means the universe is actively supporting your growth. The bad news is it makes you feel like you want to rip your skin off, and it's not easy to get out of. You're in it. It's like God has just thrown a stick in your skates and taken you down. I've gone through so many of these seasons, And I think I've gone through so many of them because I haven't navigated them well at all. Uh, kudos to me, but it means I can answer your question quite accurately with a lot of experience. I think when when you find yourself in one of these situations, and by the way, a stuck season can happen. It doesn't need to be as big as it can be at work. You can just have a coworker that's just getting on your nerves that you can't get rid of. You can have a new boss that suddenly shows up that just triggers the daylights out of you. There's so many ways that we can wind up in scenarios that we can't seem to get ourselves out of. And the reason I call them stuck seasons is because even if you were to, let's say, quit your job and go find a new one, or move out of your apartment and go find a new one, you would just get presented with this garbage behavior there. Like it finds you, it follows wherever you go. So it's not like because it's asking you to grow. So the thing about a stuck season is that it's not punishment. It's asking you to fully develop. There's probably likely, what I'm willing to guess is that there was an old wound that you still have that wasn't addressed when you severed ties with your family. And that old wound didn't get to heal because there was no reciprocity with your family. That's how estrangement works. It's like we haven't repaired anything. So that old wound is still there. But in order for you to have the family that you want and have the love that you want, that old wound needs to be integrated into your emotional system, your psyche. It needs to be healed and worked out. And I'm willing to bet that if you have also a roommate that's pushing all your buttons and doesn't respect your boundaries and doesn't respect your personal space, there's probably a part of you that doesn't know how to speak up for yourself. And so when these circumstances show up in our lives, it's really just to get us to grow through like excruciating means and often really harsh conditions. I personally have gone through many of them because I guess I haven't been paying attention. My first stuck season was right after I bounced out of my house on the East Coast and moved to Los Angeles. I could not find a normal living situation to save my life. I wound up in so many rocky, tumultuous, idiotic roommate situations. It was like they just found me. They just sniffed me out. But because I was coming from such a crazy living circumstance, like my upbringing had never been that of stability and peace and mutual respect. Of course, I was just like a target for people that wanted to walk all over you and have parties and push your boundaries. I wound up moving to Los Angeles and living with this guy that I had known from New York. I guess I had sort of dated him a little bit. He was like, come pay me rent because I have an extra bedroom in my house and it'll be so easy and great. And I was like, cool. And then when I refused to also become a babysitter, there was some snide behavior that didn't go over well. And then when I refused to sleep with him, that also didn't go over well. And eventually, at one point, I wound up booking an acting job that flew me out to Cleveland, and he wound up throwing my mattress like out on the street because I think he was jealous. But I didn't learn the lesson. And no matter what I did, no matter where I moved after that, I then lived with a girl who kind of did the same thing. Just like all these inconsiderate circumstances that I was like taken for a rube because I was just like happy to be there. I don't know. I'm happy to be out of my own house. I had no sense of worth when it came to living circumstances. And so you're going to keep running into those same patterns until you figure your shit out. I also wound up in a stuck season when I came back to the States after losing my job in London. And that one was probably worse, but valuable no less. Right after I had lost my job in London, I came back to the States And I was living in this like neighborhood in Texas that was like it was like I was in Dante's Inferno. And I would just walk in loops, like trying to figure out how I got there. And the universe took away everything. Like literally no rugs remained. I didn't have any rugs in my apartment. I couldn't get a job to save my life because I love working, and the universe was like, no, if we give her a job, it'll distract her from what she needs to learn from this. And then and the universe deleted my Hinge off of my phone, so I couldn't even date any. I couldn't even like it was like everything was getting ripped away, so I would deal with this issue that I was like not facing my trauma, my grief. It even got so bad that I was like, at one point I invited a homeless kid to move into my apartment and live with me, which is just insane. I needed such a distraction from myself that I invited this poor kid who was living in his car outside of the library. Like, I don't know, I met him, he needed a battery charger, and I was like, I can't help you, but why are you living in your car? And he gave me this like story about, I don't know, it was a really sad story. And I was like, you could stay with me. And then like a couple hours later, this guy is like unloading his shit in my house. And I was like, what have I done? Oh my God, what have I done? And then it got worse because I found out he wasn't a kid at all. He was a man. He was like a 29-year-old man. I made some bad decisions at that time. I was just so desperately trying to do anything I could to like get out of my stuck season. At one point I just gave up, and I was like, well, instead of trying to escape, I'll go in the other direction. And I resorted to the laws of physics. If a molecule is not observed or interacts with its environment, it's not even there. And I thought I could like quantum leap out of my environment by hermiting myself. But that didn't work either. So maybe physics isn't real. So how do we navigate a stuck season? Well, I have some thoughts. Based on what you said, I'm willing to bet that you're being blocked from moving out of this circumstance because there's a part of you that hasn't fully integrated. Like when we just like cut off our family, well, unless you've really worked on the wound as to what that family wasn't providing for you, then you're going to be presented with that wound over and over again until you've integrated that that pain, or like that pain point. It's an aspect of yourself that you haven't boosted the muscle of yet, either emotionally or psychologically. Like when I invited a homeless kid to live with me, there was an aspect of myself that was like, I can make myself feel calm by making others calm. The part I hadn't integrated in myself was calming myself first. So I sought to like calm other people as a vicarious way of calming myself. So all that to say, there's probably an aspect of this in this stuck season shenanigans that you're in that you haven't integrated something that's pretty vital. And it doesn't just go away until you face it head on, right? So I'm willing to bet that you have an issue with speaking up for yourself and your boundaries and your worth. And how does what's going on in your apartment with these ding-dongs, with your roommate and her partner, how does that relate to what you went through as a kid? Because when you can make that connection in the body, that's where your work is. That's where your healing work is. That's where integration comes in. It's like, oh, this brings up something so evil in me. I want to throw a toaster in their bathtub. Right? Because you're so frustrated. But you're not going to do that, obviously. But that wound, that frustration, that feeling of like, I'm being suffocated in this house and no one is respecting my boundaries or my worth or my blah, blah, blah. That's probably a very old wound. And that's what's coming up for review at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to put this out there as a maybe just reading into the text. You probably have some wounds around speaking up for your needs and confronting people. And dare I say, cutting ties from your family, I'm willing to bet, did you have the hard conversation with them first? Or did you just walk away? I'm just saying. You got to do the hard parts that'll integrate the wound, that'll heal the wound, and that'll make it grow. Otherwise, the life you want is always going to be like, like you're never going to be there. You're never going to land there. You're never going to be orbiting it. And then there's another possibility that I want to bring up too, not to like Freud you to death. But I want to give you all these options because I don't know. I don't know your circumstance. If you were on the phone with me right now, I'd know more. But I know less. Don't we all? Another possibility is that, like, I know in my circumstance, some of my stuck seasons have simply been a maturity issue. Meaning I was really stunted from my upbringing and I knew the life I wanted. I knew what it like looked like in a magazine, but like I didn't know how it felt in my body. And so there was a part of me that had to mature emotionally and my nervous system, my psyche, that all these maturity aspects had to come into place before I could get to that life. And that stuck season that I had in Texas was a lot of that. It was like maturing in all regards, like learning to soothe myself via my nervous system, not via inviting homeless kids to live with me. He was a really sweet kid. I don't want to I think it was a bless him. I also got back to Texas and realized like all my clothes, this is so funny. Like I got back to Texas and like all my clothes were too small. Not because I had gained any weight. I had lost weight because I was so like nervous. But it was more like I looked at these like baby tees and I was like, who was that? It was like overnight I had just grown. I had matured. I was like, who bought these? Who bought these? Who bought all these slutty Von Trapp baby doll dresses? Just very ridiculous. So sometimes our timeouts are these implemented timeout seasons. I think in the Bible, a lot of like people call them wilderness seasons where you just don't know what your next move is. You don't know where you're going and you're waiting to like hear some sort of instruction from the divine. A lot of the time that can be a maturity season. And not just maturity psychologically, like what that season is asking you to do is to be in the physical embodiment, the emotional landscape of the person and the life you want, not just being able to point at it on a picture. You have to be able to walk around in the shoes of the person who would have that life before you can have it, before it shows up in your 3D. Because of my original upbringing, I had no idea what like a safe, sturdy, calm, peaceful home felt like. And more so, I had no concept of like what it felt like to be empowered as like the matriarch of a home. Like if you grow up in a narcissistic home, you have no authority. You have no agency. You are stripped of anything that is by any means powerful. It's considered combative. It's like how you lose love by having a strong opinion on things. So for me, I didn't know what it was like to be in charge of a household because I didn't have any responsibility. I didn't have any chores in my house. It was like, just leave. So there were so many like loose constructs of home in my head that I had to mature into the reality and I had to mature into the embodiment of being before I could have it, if that makes sense. And I think that's why we wind up blocked from escaping. That's why they're stuck seasons, because I think God, the divine, really wants you to have things you want to have. It's not that you're not worthy or deserving. It's certainly not that you're being punished. It's simply that, like, God is saying, okay, if you want that thing, I have to build your character. I have to strengthen you so that you can even hold it. Because otherwise you'll get it and you'll just lose it. You'll blow it up. But the universe wants you. It's not trying to punish you. It's not trying to shame you. So you kind of have to work with you gotta work with it. You gotta work with it. And the biggest thing is also, don't make a bunch of silly moves right now. Like, don't fight. Don't think you're going to win by fleeing. It's just going to find you down the road. I was booking airline tickets to get out of there. All those trips got canceled. Everything was, God was like, nah, sit down. You're not going anywhere. The Stoics are great for times like these. The Stoics are always like, the obstacle is the way. They would say that these hard seasons are what build character. And that it is, imperative you return to your inner compass and yourself and just work on yourself and don't worry about your outer circumstances will suss themselves out. But it doesn't make it any easier. It's really hard. It's like the ultimate, it's like a guttural pummeling. Brutal. But it is for your better life, for a better foundation. I remember being in Texas and I lived in like the outskirts of an area, and there was this man who lived next to me, and he didn't like me because he thought my dog was going to the bathroom on his strip of yard outside. And I was like, sir, there's no way my tiny French bulldog could be leaving that on your front step. But he had, regardless of his distaste for me and my dog, he was kind of like this person I looked up to because he had bought his house, and he had bought the house right next door for his daughter. And I remember thinking, like, I remember just like watching them. I'm like, oh, that's what like proper foundations look like. And then I wasn't pissed that he was scooping up some random dog's poop and leaving it on my side of the driveway as if my dog had done it. He was protecting his space that he had worked hard to procure for his family, and that I had such respect for him. I tried to tell him, like, my dog's butthole is so tiny, there's no way. But regardless, I learned a lot watching that. So sometimes our stuck seasons are just to like show us what we need to see and feel so that we can have something adjacent. And you got to do whatever you can to like survive them. I mean, you've got to do your fair share to keep yourself from going off the rails. My biggest advice would be to focus on, I hate when people say this, but focus on gratitude. I hate when people say it. Focus on gratitude. My gratitude journal. No, I don't like that. I don't even like the word gratitude because it just feels like an empty suit. What I would say is train your brain to find the blessing in each day. Like, train your brain to find one good thing that's like, even if it's the tiniest blessing. Like, I had nowhere to go. I would walk to the park by my house. And at night in Texas, the skies are like this stunning cotton candy. They look like hot pink sherbet. They're wild. And I was like, that was my evening blessing. And I just, every night I'd go out and savor it. And my dog loved to chase the deer. And I was like, okay, great. We've got this thing going for us. Like, let's count this as a blessing. You have to train your brain to find the good. And the more you do that, the better your psyche and your emotional state will be. You won't fall into a state of complete collapse. Because if your brain is going in the other direction, it's not good. It's going to be really bad. It's bleak. And then here's a weird one, but just go with me on this. So I think like when you cut ties from your family, by the way, good for you. Good for you for choosing yourself. You probably had some sort of image in your mind of like what you wanted next or what you wanted your next. I don't know if you're in a relationship or you're looking or you're not, or you want a family, but there was some way you wanted to be treated, right? And there was some relational dynamic that you were searching for. Start rehearsing that feeling that you want in your life. And the more we can feel into the way we want to feel rather than how people are treating us, you'd be kind of shocked by what starts to show up in your life. This is a Joe Dispenza method of like, you have to become the energy that you want before it shows up in your life. But I really do think, like, for example, if I had spent a little more time feeling into the way that I wanted my family and home to feel, I would have very quickly realized I had no clue what stability felt like. So I had to do a little more work on that. So just spend some time like daydreaming and like future tripping on what you want your next family to feel like and live there a little bit. And then the biggest thing is like just keep walking through your fears and keep walking through them as like the Stoics would do with character. Because I know that like it's so easy to give up and just like join the little monsters in your life and be like, fuck it, I'm done. I can't try anymore. No, you have to keep being the life you want before it shows up. Don't give in. Don't become a little shit. Don't become a bitter. Don't. Just don't. Leonardo da Vinci, what did he say? The greatest act of genius is to not be constrained by your current circumstances. He was talking about quantum physics back then. Like, even he knew, it's like you have to think outside of your current circumstances. That's genius. Stuck seasons are an inside job. You're not going to get anywhere by fighting with the outside world. There's no letter you can write. There's no strongly worded email you can send. It's it's internal work. I'm not jealous of you. And I really do give you so much kudos for doing this without a job because that's super stressful. And, you know, I think a lot of people are in that position right now of like, it's really hard to choose yourself when security is not available. So anyone who's doing that is like, you're a legend. You're a freaking legend. And I also want to give credit to the homeless kid that I invited in because the whole reason he was homeless wasn't for a lack of work ethic or anything like that. He had fled an abusive home. And his only option was to live in his car. I think he was in a stuck season too. I didn't help out that much, but this is the real work. This is the universe pummeling us with homework. And you gotta do it or you don't get to go to the next level. You're gonna be walking around that golf course till you're old in your baby tees. I thought about asking if I could be a bev cart girl. I did that job in college. It was like the best summer of my life. I was the halfway house girl. I was just making people cocktails at like 10 a.m. I was like I was weird about food. I would just like drink coffees and tan. Oh, it was, looking back, whew, problematic. Another thing, and then here's a fun one. I thought of this for you. I'm done. Have you ever looked into astrocartography? I think it's such a treat. So like if you want to if you're looking to move and you want to move to a new location, you can put your birth chart, you can put your birth time into, I love all this like witchy stuff. I love astrology, but you can put your birth time into, I think it's just astro.com, and you can just look up locational astrology and you can look at the lines everywhere on the globe, there's lines. And the different lines based on your birth chart will tell you where you'll have more success and joy versus pain and agony. I don't know, something to check out. But yeah, as uncomfortable as it is, I promise you there is real deep medicine in this season. Every season has a reason. How's that for a rhyme? Sometimes we just can't see what is being done. We can't see the new thing being done in us. But when you come out of this, I'll tell you what, you won't be having battles of smallness anymore. You'll just be able to assert yourself. And then those problems don't even show up anymore. They just don't even show up. It's unfair because you have this new strong muscle you don't even get to use. But I hope that has helped in some way. And again, I just want to say all my love and support, and I hope you have a job very soon. Also, if anyone else has a question for me, the amateur orphan, info@strangeorphan.com. I think these questions are super helpful for the pack, for everyone. So I like to answer them. Write in. I love you. And then lastly, it's time to subscribe to Strange Orphan. Thank you guys so much for stopping by this week. Take care of yourselves. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.